Okay, hi everybody. I'm Annie Larson with the Health and Wellness team, and welcome to Tuesday Tips. Um, sorry, 1 second. Again, we're here doing our Tuesday Tips. We're the Jordan Health and Wellness team, which is an interdisciplinary team dedicated to improving wellness for educators, families, students. And our team is made up of school counselor, school psychologist, a couple of licensed clinical social workers who have worked in the school. So we try to have a pretty diverse group of people gathering this information and trying to help out with building health and wellness across our district. This is our weekly Tuesday tips. And Rachel is going to be presenting to you today. She has worked as a school psychologist for several years and is brilliant and funny. And I'm sure you will really enjoy the tips she's going to share with you. Before she comes on, I just wanted to remind you that you can check out the Tuesday tips. They'll be recorded and they'll be available on our website, which is wellness.jordandistrict.org. And then if you have any questions or ideas, feedback, we would love to hear from you. And that is at the same email, the wellness@jordandistrict.org. So on that note, I am going to pass things over to Rachel.
Hello, thanks for tuning in today. So today we're going to talk about addressing physical needs to increase well-being. So obviously this is kind of a basic topic. You'd think a lot of people already have a good idea, but in our opinion, it's really great to review and kind of draw your attention to again, so you can think about it and apply it in your own lives. And as I talk about this applying to your children and to students, I want you to kind of think about, well, how does this apply to me, and how can I use these things to better help myself? Because all these things are applicable to all ages. So the first thing we're going to talk about is maybe my favorite. I say that and then I get to the next section, and that one I love too. But we're going to talk about sleep. So according to the CDC, kids aged 6 to 12 need 9 to 12 hours of sleep per night. So any child in elementary and a little bit in maybe middle school need to be sleeping at least 9 to 12 hours. Then we get to teenagers, and they need to sleep 13 through 18 years old, and they need to sleep anywhere from 8 to 10 hours per night. And this gets a little tricky because we know that 6 out of 10 middle schoolers and 7 out of 10 high schoolers report not getting enough sleep. So want to pay attention to how long our kids are actually sleeping, and why does this matter how long they're sleeping? So sleeping is critical to help prevent type 2 diabetes, obesity, poor mental health, injuries, and attention or behavior problems. And some of you may be aware there is some research out there about how a lot of ADHD diagnoses are actually misdiagnosed, and they're actually sleep disorders. So if you have a child that struggles with attention or hyperactivity or things like that, you might want to look at their sleep before you address any other issues. So when we talk about sleep, here's some tips. We want you to set some bed and wake up times at the same time each day, even on weekends, which is not easy, but it's ideal, right? And this goes back to Annie's Tuesday tip she gave us last week with routines and schedules. Our bodies do so much better when we have a schedule. The other tips are to keep the bedroom quiet and comfortable, remove electronic devices from the bedroom. And I think that's a huge obstacle for teenagers, especially. At least I've had a handful report to me that they're on their phones into wee hours of the night and playing video games, texting friends, whatever it might be. And that can be an obstacle to getting the amount of sleep they need. Another strategy is to avoid large meals and caffeine before bedtime. Make sure that your kids are active during the day. Model good sleep habits. So if your kids see you sleeping and prioritizing sleep, they're more likely to do the same. And then the last thing is have a bedtime routine, such as taking a bath and brushing teeth and a bedtime story. And that's really critical to triggering the brain, especially for our young kids, into realizing, oh, it's time for bed. It's okay to start shutting down. And that can be really good quality time that you have with your child that you might not have otherwise without a routine like that at night. The next thing we're going to talk about, which is also one of my favorites, is nutrition. So first off, I just want to point out that hunger is real. So here's a little Snickers commercial, and we'll see if the sound works. Ooh.
Marcia, what happened?
Peter hit me in the nose with a football. I can't go to the dance like this.
Well, I'm sure it was an accident, sweetheart.
An eye for an eye. That's what Dad always says.
I never said that, honey.
Shut up! Got to teach Peter a lesson.
Marcia, eat a Snickers.
Why?
You get a little hostile when you're hungry. Better? Better.
Marcia, Marcia, Marcia.
Jan, this isn't about you.
It never is.
All right, so does that ring a bell for anyone with their kids or even yourself? Hunger can play a big role in how we behave and act. So with nutrition, we have to eat, and healthy eating is important for proper growth and development. So starting at age 2, we want to make sure every kid is getting a variety of fruits and vegetables, whole grains, fat-free or low-dairy or low-fat dairy products, a variety of protein foods, which could look different depending on what your home life is like, and oils. So when we do eat a healthy breakfast, or when our children eat healthy breakfast, we see improved cognitive functioning, particularly with their memories. We have reduced absenteeism in schools, and then we also see improved mood, like you saw on that Snickers commercial. Part of nutrition is also water intake. So water does a few things for us. It helps keep our bodies a normal temperature. It helps lubricate and cushion joints. Water helps protect our spinal cords and other sensitive tissues. And then it also helps us get rid of waste through urination, perspiration, and bowel movements. And a crazy fact is that your brain is about 75% of water. And what we know is when your brain is at full capacity or full reserve for water, you are better able to think faster and you're more focused. So the next time you're struggling, maybe focusing on even this presentation, ask yourself, have I had enough water today? And you can imagine that plays a huge part in kids' learning and development if they've had water or not, and if they're feeling their brains are fully functioning at their reserve. So when we talk about water, we know kids ages 4 through 8 need 7 cups per day. And then 9 to 13 years old, the girls need about 9 cups a day and boys need 10 cups a day. 14 to 18 years, girls need 10 cups a day and boys need 14 cups a day. So if you're like me, you're like, what in the world? Why do the boys need so much more? And it's because boys have higher fat-free mass and energy expenditure than girls. So there's a fun fact for you. All right, so the next thing that leads us to is exercise. So we know that exercise is good for us, right? So let's get a little more concrete in this thinking. So preschool-aged kids, which is 3 to 5 years old, they need to have physical activity every day throughout the day. And we want them to do a variety of things. That doesn't mean you say to your little 3-year-old, okay, it's time for gym. We're gonna work out for an hour. No, you just wanna make sure that they're moving and they're active and they're enjoying their day, which you can do through sports and other things, but it doesn't have to be structured like that. Then we get to our children and adolescents, so 6 to 17-year-olds. It's recommended that they have 60 minutes of moderate to vigorous intensity of physical activity daily. And then you also want to make that a variety. So when you're looking at children and adolescents, you want to make sure that you are addressing their aerobic health. So that's like getting their heart rate high, make it trickier breathing. So you want to make sure that happens at least 3 days a week. Another interesting thing that I read is to look at their bone health, and you can address bone health and bone fitness, I guess, through jumping was suggested, and running, and any activity that makes you shift directions quickly is really good for your bones. So I thought that was interesting. And then for you guys, for the adults, it's recommended for you to exercise at least 150 minutes a week at a moderate intensity. So that could just be brisk walking, depending on your fitness level. And then at least 2 days a week, they want you to do some muscle training, some muscle strengthening. And then once you're 65 and older, it's the same thing, 150 minutes a week, but they also add that they want you to work on activities that improve balance, such as standing on one foot. So the last physical need that we're going to talk about is shelter. Shelter can look different for a lot of people for various reasons, but these are some things that we want you to consider as you're thinking about your child and the shelter and where they sleep and come home to. So we want you to consider your child's privacy. Do they have any time for privacy? Do they have any time alone, away from adults or whatever it might be? Comfort. Do they have blankets, pillows, whatever it might be? Stuffed animals might bring them comfort in their shelter. We also want to consider making the room dark when they're sleeping, which helps them stay asleep and helps them sleep deeper. And then lastly, and probably the most important, is are they safe? Is their shelter safe? We know if kids don't feel safe, they're not able to function as well, they're not able to learn, and that can be a huge obstacle. So in conclusion, in order for our children to thrive, we need to make sure that we're meeting their basic needs. So you'll see right here, this is a pyramid. It's built off of Maslow's hierarchy. So Maslow is a very famous psychologist. And basically this pyramid shows you that in order for a child to get to the top of the pyramid to where they're thriving, the base, the very, very bottom of the pyramid is physical needs. They cannot thrive. They cannot feel safe. They cannot connect with family, peers. They cannot build relationships successfully, and they won't feel confident unless we meet their physical needs. And that's why we're talking about what we're talking about. And in the future, we're going to be tying in all these other parts of the pyramid to help your child thrive and hopefully help you thrive as well. So thanks for tuning in today. Next week, we're going to do a presentation called Behavior ABCs, and basically that's going to be the bread and butter of behavior. So we're going to talk about what behavior is, what causes behavior, and then kind of how to address behavior so you can change a behavior. And it's going to be a really, really good one. And then if you're interested in last week, we talked about Back to School 101, and that Tuesday tip was all about setting up schedules and routines to help build success and help our students thrive. So you can find last week's message on our website, like Annie mentioned. So again, our website is wellness.jordandistrict.org, and you can reach us via email at wellness@jordandistrict.org. So thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope that you were able to find something that you can help work on and maybe share with others, and we'll see you next week.